Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you all again to the seminar on Sagarmala Port led Prosperity. To start today's event, may I please invite His Excellency Mr. Sibi George, Ambassador of India to Japan, to make the inaugural remarks.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sri Rajesh Kumar Sinha, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India. Mr. Masayuki Tanemura, Director of International Policy, Planning Office, Ports and Harbors, Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism, Government of Japan. Distinguished guests, participants, and friends. I am delighted to welcome you all to this important seminar on Sagarmala port-led prosperity. This subject underlines India's transformative initiatives in maritime infrastructure, and it also highlights the significant opportunities it presents for enhancing India-Japan collaboration and cooperation in economic and infrastructural domains. Dear friends, India and Japan share a special strategic and global partnership grounded in shared values, mutual respect, and a vision for a free and open Indo-Pacific. Our cooperation spans diverse areas, from trade and technology to defense and cultural exchanges. This partnership has grown stronger and deeper over the years. Economic collaboration and infrastructure development are key aspects of our bilateral partnership. In the infrastructure sector, our cooperation is driven by a shared understanding of the importance of quality infrastructure in supporting economic growth, improving connectivity, and making everyday life easier for people. By combining Japan's expertise in advanced technologies with India's focus on expanding infrastructure, our two countries are working together to create solutions that can benefit them both. India is taking major initiatives to enhance its infrastructure with significant investments across sectors like transportation, energy, and urban development. These initiatives create many opportunities for Japanese industries to contribute through their advanced technology and expertise. One such flagship initiative is Sagarmala, launched by the Government of India to promote port-led development by modernizing port infrastructure and enhancing connectivity. The initiative aims to unlock the full potential of India's coastline and waterways, reducing logistics costs and boosting economic growth. In a statement highlighting the significance of the program, Honorable Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, had remarked, I quote, the country's coastal economy is being strengthened through the Sagarmala program, wherein, along with the modernization of old ports, new ones are being built. We believe that our ports are gateways to development, unquote. Japanese companies have been long-standing contributors to India's infrastructure landscape. Under Sagarmala, there is tremendous scope for Japanese firms to partner in a range of areas. Japan's advanced maritime technologies, coupled with India's ambitious infrastructure goals, present a win-win opportunity for both our nations. We will hear in detail about the Sagarmala program later from my colleagues who are present here. Dear friends, if you look at India, Japan, in the map you will see that we are both maritime powers. What connects our two countries very closely is the sea connect. Let us just for a moment think about the sea lane which connects India and Japan. To give you an example, 90% of Japan's oil comes from the Middle East. And what is the sea route it takes? It comes from the Middle East to Arabian Sea, the territorial waters of India to Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, again the territorial waters of India, it goes to the Andaman Sea, Andaman Nicobar Islands, which is at the mouth of Malacca Straits, then through the Malacca Straits up to South China Sea and up. this sea lane is very crucial. And, you know, on a daily basis, there are hundreds of Japanese ships pass through this and they are connected to India through our ports. So I would like to focus on this part, how to build our connectivity through more and more cooperation. If you look at India's infrastructure, you will see that there are more cranes today operating in India than anywhere else in the world. India is transforming, and in that transformation, we would like Japan to be an important partner. So I once again thank each one of you for joining us in this seminar on ports and infrastructure. Once again, wish you a very successful discussions today. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you very much, sir, for your inaugural remarks. To start with the presentation for today, may I please request Mr. Rajesh Kumar Sinha, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India, to make the presentation.
Good afternoon, Excellencies, our dignitaries in the hall here. Let me start with we have just seen a short video where our Honorable Prime Minister is talking about the Sagarmala, that port-led development, prosperity. And very recently, maybe a few hours ago, he also talked about the potential of shipbuilding in India. This was 3-4 days ago. He talked about that. As all of you may be knowing better than I do, that shipbuilding has huge, enormous employment multiplier effect. It is estimated to be 6.2. So if we create one employment in shipbuilding shipyard, 5 employment opportunities get created outside the shipyard. So that was the highlight of his speech there. So since Excellency Ambassador has already spoken about the long-standing bilateral business, commercial and cultural relationship with India and Japan, between India and Japan, I will take you through a new dimension of emerging opportunities in the maritime sector in India, where Japan can see a lot of opportunity. I'll show you those things. Those are, some progress has happened, some is still happening. So let us start with the presentation. Next, please. This is about the volume of Indian EXIM trade, the projected growth. You can see the growth rate is CAGR is 8%. The EXIM trade volume, what is currently happening in terms of merchandise, and also the overseas cargo. If you look at the right bottom, look at the overseas cargo that is handled by Indian ports. Many of you are familiar with Indian maritime sector. We have major ports and non-major ports. Major ports are basically owned by Government of India. Non-major ports are owned by the state governments, operated through private entity. If you look at the volume that is there, next please. This I've already stated about the spread of the ports. If you look at from this western part, Kandla, and you cross all the way up to this eastern part, Shama Prasad Mukherjee port, we have these many ports. 12 are major, which are Government of India owned. 217 are state government ports. Not all are handling EXIM cargo. Only about 62 are handling EXIM cargo. So these 12 plus 50 out of these are handling EXIM cargo. But if you look at the volume that is being handled here, by 12 ports, it is 818, and nearly the same volume is being handled by non-major EXIM ports. So it is in the same range. This is the growth of shipping capacity. This number is very small. This number may look to be a bit impressive, but if you look at the tonnage, it is very small. Those from the maritime sector would agree with this figure. 1,500 vessels with a capacity of 13.8 million tons only. It shows that we have very small vessels, very small cargo vessels. And this is where the opportunity I'll be presenting today. This is another sector which has grown tremendously in the last 10 years. This number used to be 8. Now this is in last 10 years, it has increased to 111. And the cargo, which was about 14 million metric ton, has grown to 133. So this is another focus area. Waterways means in India, basically the movement through the rivers, inland waters. Next, please. We have a vision document we call it Amrit Kal vision document of 2047. 2047 is the year when India will celebrate its 100th year of independence. So we have prepared a document where we want to see India in maritime sector in 2047. So this is where currently we are we have no ports, so currently we are 2. There is another slide which is not here. This is important. If you look at this shipbuilding, in 2014 we were 23rd rank, currently it is 17, and our target is to become in top 10 in 2030 and top 5 in 2047. So this is an emerging opportunity in maritime sector in India. Similarly, if we look at the ship ownership, this was 17th rank. There is not much change. We currently remain at almost the same point. But again, our target is to reach within 5 by 2047. So there are some policies which are in place, some policies that we are still making. I'll present those. This already stated that. Next, please. Now this shows that by 2047, what will happen? The volume. About 15% of the global seaborne trade will be of India. So this is the huge potential here. Given the volume of trade, of total global seaborne trade, 15% will be Indian. And just to give you another flavor of what currently we have, of our total EXIM cargo, about 96% is carried on foreign flags, about 4% is carried on Indian flags. So that is another factor why India is focusing on ship flagging in India and also shipbuilding in India. Next, please. So this is what I was talking about, the vision document. In terms of handling capacity at ports, this is a target for 2047. This is an intermediate target, and this will be achieved. The way we are progressing, the status that we are today, this should be achieved. Then deep draft mega ports, currently we have 1, target is to reach 13. We are in the process of developing green hydrogen hubs. Currently we are focusing on 3, and maybe this will exceed this number by 2030, and certainly this number. This is cruise. Now this is I was talking about the shipbuilding global rank. Currently 17 rank. Target is to reach 5 by 2047. Similarly in ship flagging or ship ownership. In India, flagging and ownership are common. They are not 2. So from current rank of 16, we envision to reach number 5 by 2047. So for these 2 targets, we have a few policy that we are making. I'd like to present you those. Next, please. Now this is one shipbuilding or shipping sector where huge investment will be required, nearly $1 trillion. One is for tonnage improvement. Other is for next class, next generation ports, then promoting the river cruise, also the ocean coastal river cruise, modal share, and for ship building and ship repair about 7 billion. So this is the total investment that will be required by 2047, which is nearly $1 trillion. Next, please. Now, this is what is I was referring to, these policies that we are currently making. Those who are familiar with Indian maritime sector would be knowing this policy, its first version is in place from 2016-17 onwards. Now, this policy, we have brought in a lot of improvement, or let's say a lot of liberal terms, a lot of novel features into this policy. And this policy will be very soon, it will be launched. Currently, the version 1.0 is in place. So we are already assisting shipyards in India who are manufacturing, who are building ships, not only for domestic flagging, but even for export. And most of the exports are happening to the European countries, maybe Norway and Denmark, and also Greece and some other countries are exporting. Many of the shipyards are building and exporting, but those are smaller variety of ships. Those ships do not have big tonnage, very small ships. But some of the ships are very innovative in their design, in their fuel supply, and some of the other features. So this is a big policy that is coming up. There is no cap on supporting the government support for that vessel. There is a subsidy kind of support, a financial assistance that we provide to that ship. Currently, there is a cap, maximum that X amount can be given. Now that cap is being removed. So a vessel of a larger size, of a bigger tonnage, can get a certain percentage of the total cost of that vessel as financial assistance. The another new feature we are bringing is 40% of the scrap value can be recouped in Indian shipyard. It means somebody recycles a ship in India, gets a credit note. That credit note can be used for shipbuilding in an Indian shipyard. So this is another new feature. And we're also setting up a national shipbuilding mission. The corpus that we are creating is of 2.17 billion. So that is, and very soon this policy will be launched. The second pillar of this growth will be creation of a fund, Maritime Development Fund. And this is basically to, in India, the ship or shipping is not an infrastructure currently. But very soon we'll have the shipyard is an infrastructure, ports is an infrastructure, but ships and shipping are not infrastructure. So bringing about a change in the definition of ships or shipping in infrastructure will lead us to better competitive financing in the Indian market. And we are separately creating a fund also. This fund will be actually a kind of equity support. It will be partnership as equity, and that partnership firm can further lend. So there is actually this fund will not only do equity partnership, but also do debt. Indirectly, debt lending will happen. And we are also doing a lot of aggregation of total demand of ships. Most of these ships which are used for exim trade, they are actually carrying government cargo, mostly crude oil and other similar fuel. So we are aggregating the total demand in the market of government sector, public companies. What is the annual demand? What is the annual type? What are the types of ships that they require? And that we are projecting in the market. That process is currently underway. We have already received about 100 odd ships of a larger variety, which can carry the crude oil and other products. And this we are bringing to the market because shipyards have been asking us to show us give the visibility of demand. So this is the first step that we have taken. We are only have aggregated till now the government side demand, but very soon after we take one step, then the second step will be to also look at what the private sector is requiring. And this basically the idea here is that we show this visibility, demand visibility to the shipyards and also to the shipping companies. So those shipping companies that want to acquire ships from abroad, that's also an opportunity. But our focus will be that ships get built in India. And this is another feature of the same fund. It will also give some credit guarantee and also interest incentivization. Now look at the size of this. This was 2.17 billion and this will be $3.6 billion. So these two are currently in these policies are in the at a very final stage. Next, please. And there's another pillar. So I have shown you pillar 1, pillar 2. Now there is pillar 3 and pillar 4. Now there is pillar 3. What we are looking at is again, you can see shipbuilding cluster, development of shipbuilding clusters. So the existing shipyards, they can expand on their own. They can expand with a partnership from abroad or from within the country. Or there is also opportunity of setting up greenfield shipyards. So we have already identified 3-4 locations which have approximately 1 kilometer of water frontage and the area in the range of about 2,000 acres. So in different locations, in different coasts of India, on the eastern coast as well as on the western coast, we have identified certain locations. So those companies or shipyards who want to start greenfield shipyard, new shipyard in India, can look at these options available. So those who are interested can get the further details on this. Apart from that, we have many shipyards. In government sector, we have Cochin shipyard and also defense sector shipyards. In private sector, we have a few big shipyards and then the medium-sized shipyards. So there could be expansion of those existing shipyards with partnership from abroad. We already have one or two requests that we have seen. There's some development progress happening on that, but this is another opportunity where partnership can take place. And this also there'll be a financial support from the state, from the government side in terms of creating the bigger infrastructure. And then further investment can come from the shipyards. We are also creating a small fund for R&D and also a design center. Today we had a discussion in one of the entities that today I discussed about the design center. So part of this fund that will be incorporating, I have not given the figure here, but from this pillar we'll set up an R&D fund and also a training facility, and also a design center. India already we had one design center, but that was closed down not closed down, but actually became dysfunctional, non-functional some decades ago. And so this training program and upskilling program, this will be a major part of our this pillar 3. In this, if many of you would have heard about this GIFT IFSC, it's a place where you can invest, you can set up your things with a lot of benefits there. I'm not expatiating on that. Now this is another reform that we are carrying out. This is a pillar 4 of our reforms, which is more on the regulatory reforms. We are bringing about new laws on this. New laws where presently either we do not have a law or law is very old. So we are revising, amending those laws. Even if you look at the Merchant Shipping Act, which India has and which follows the IMO conventions, even that has to undergo a lot of change because IMO conventions have gone much ahead now, but our laws have not been incorporating those changes. So that we are in the process of doing that. We are coming out with a new act on the coastal shipping. So now we'll have very soon a coastal shipping act. And the act, it appears that the act is a regulatory kind of legislation, but if you read that act, it's still a bill. Very soon it will become an act. If you read that document, it is more of a developmental document. How the sector can grow and progress, that is incorporated in law. So it's a very unique kind of law that we are making. It's called Coastal Shipping Bill. Then we have 2 more laws which are more of a trade related, not shipbuilding related, but more trade related laws. Apart from that, we are, as I stated, classify ships as infrastructure. This will enable declaration as infrastructure, will enable getting the ships or shipping will get more competitive rates of loan from banks for a longer tenure, which is the demand from the sector. And this is another act. I'll not give you the full name. This is just an act which does not allow ship to be given as collateral for any bank loan, collateral security for a bank loan. So we are in the process of getting this act amended to allow vessels as collateral security for a bank loan. And this is the request coming from the banks as well as from the maritime sector. Those who want to own a vessel, they say that if you declare it as collateral, then banks will be more willing to give you loan. So this is another change that we are bringing about in the act. Related to all this are certain tax reforms. Some of these we have carried out, and many of these we are still in the process of doing. This is which I already stated, that we are aggregating the demand of ships in India, depending on what has been the last 5 years, 10 years, demand of various public sector companies in Government of India, what kind of commodity they have been importing or exporting. So what is their demand currently? What is their going to be projected demand in few years? So that demand aggregation is happening now, and we have already done part of it, and we are going to very soon project the demand to the shipyards to show them that this is the demand, which is a part of the demand. This is not the whole demand. This is only part of the total demand, and we are presenting it to you as a step one. As we go ahead, there will be more and more demands arising. Next, please. Now, these are the upcoming in the port sector. Port sector investment in next 5 years will be in the range of this much. Now, these are some of the projects that are in the pipeline. This is Vadhavan Port, very close to Mumbai Port, about maybe 60-80 kilometers further north. It was in the stage of bidding now. Galathea Bay is in the Andaman and Nicobar, very close to the international sea route. There also we are getting some approvals, in the process of getting approvals. So this will be another opportunity for investment there. Then in the southern part of India, in Tamil Nadu, there is one state by the name Tamil Nadu. So there is a port, Chidambaram Port. We use Chidambaram Port. There is a project of outer harbor for 4 million TEU. So this is already in the market. Then there are a few more expansion or new terminal projects. Paradip Port, which is in the eastern coast of India. This Tuna Tekra is very close to, basically in Gujarat. It is in our Deen Dayal Port, Kandla Port. So these are the projects which are in the pipeline, and these are total capacity will be 1,000 million metric tons per annum. These are the already under implementation, these few, and they are already stated about the legal and policy reform. This is not all. There are some captive policy and port land policy. This is about the land that is with the ports, how to handle, how to manage those land that is with the ports. So these policies will help. I've talked about the coastal shipping bill, which is very innovative. Personally, I find it very innovative kind of legislation. Apart from that, there is a merchant shipping bill also, which is 2025, which should be, it is before the legislative body, so should be passed sometime this year. Then there's also Indian Ports Bill, also very modern kind of bill. Actually, it's a revision or an amendment of the existing act. So this will also be very user-friendly bill. This is just a statement that we have already achieved 100% renewable energy 2030. Currently, they are using a lot of renewable energy, but by 2030, it will be completely 100%. Next, please. Now, this is the market opportunity for Japan. This is what I thought I should write this. More or less, I have stated this. When we create a capacity, we are dividing into supply side and demand side. So if you look at the supply side, shipbuilders. So creating a capacity, I said that we are in the process of developing, either expanding the existing shipyards or developing new shipyards. What we are also targeting that when we develop a new shipyard, we have a cluster rather than only having a shipyards. And that is the idea, to have about 2,000 acres of land with good sea frontage, where we can develop a cluster and not only a small shipyard. So we have identified some locations, about 4 locations we have identified where cluster can be set up, and the cumulative output, this is what we have targeted. In the cluster, we can also have the vendor parks. In a small scale, we already have in Cochin shipyard, we have a small scale a maritime park. But here we want to develop a complete new big vendor park, a part of the shipbuilding cluster. And as I stated, capital subsidy will be provided for greenfield and also for the brownfield expansion. It is part of the pillar 2, which I stated earlier. And this already I stated in the part of the policy to have design center, training facilities, upskilling facility, R&D in the shipping and shipbuilding, and common user maritime assets, which is the practice which will now start following, which we have not done till now, but it will be a new thing which will be happening. And then also some degree of risk and insurance covers. Again, part of the pillar 2, which I stated about the maritime development. Now these are the demand side. These are demand. We have very recently we have launched a green tuck transition program. So all tucks which are used in all our major ports, including and also non-major ports, to be converted into green tucks in a transitional manner by 2037-38. So we are beginning in 2027. Policy has been rolled out this year, late last year, December 2024. So gradually, major ports, they will convert to green tucks, and in course of time, every 3 years we'll monitor so that more and more ports, they convert their tucks into green tucks, beginning with the hybrid fuel, and then whatever the fuel evolves, convert into that. This is one policy that this requirement will be this much, 2.6 billion. Similarly, there is a new scheme called Harit Nauka scheme. Harit Nauka means basically these small boats which are used in the inland waters, converting those inland water vessels into green vessels. Basically, retrofitting is what we have envisaged here. And 1,000 vessels we try to, our vision is to complete 1,000 vessels by 2035, which will require this kind of investment. This policy, we have been interacting with the state governments because most of these vessels are under the state government ownership. But this is another very ambitious program that we are doing. User ministries, as I said, that we have aggregated the demand of vessels, and most of the demand is from the petroleum sector, also from the steel sector because they import the raw material and also the fuel, and from the fertilizer sector because they import fertilizers. So these are broadly, these are the 3 sectors which are actually doing the import of cargo. So we have already done a lot of aggregation here. We are still in the process of doing it. And what we are aggregating is not only demand of quantity of, you look at the vessels that they require. MOPNG, the Ministry of Petroleum, has given a demand of 112 vessels, but 112 is not all of one type vessel. There are 3-4 types of vessels that they require. So that demand we have already aggregated. We are in the process of now aggregating demand from steel sector and fertilizer sector. Similarly, the short haul vessels, dredgers by 2030, and all Indian coastal vessels from 2030 onwards. And this is our export market. This is currently it is happening, but those vessels are of a small, low tonnage vessels, Norway, Germany, Denmark, US, Russia, and many others. Next, please. Now, this I have already stated. This is not to be, all of you are from maritime sector. I am not from maritime sector, but still, I educated myself with this slide. Here I learned that employment multiplier is 6 times in shipbuilding sector. Investment multiplier is 2 times, about 2 times in shipbuilding sector. If we invest X rupees in shipbuilding, X rupees gets invested outside the shipbuilding sector. So the market itself gets twice benefited. And this is the level of job that will be created. This is the potential commercial shipbuilding market size. This is from the ancillary industry side. And what we also, when we interacted with some of the shipyards, not from India, but from outside, like I'm interacting with you today, the demand was that there should be stable, strong governance. Means policy should be consistent, that we assure you that policy that I'm presenting today, after these are passed, are going to be there for considerable length of time, because we understand shipbuilding is not a short duration activity. It's a long term activity. It's a long gestation business. And these are benefits that I've already stated. Next, please. So these are the discussion points. I'm here to answer whatever I can. And the best nodal point or contact point will be the embassy here. Next slide, if there is anything. Thank you. So thank you very much for patient hearing of the presentation. If there are any direct questions now, should I answer now? So, right. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for the presentation. May I now request Mr. Masayuki Tanemura, Director of International Policy Planning Office, Ports and Harbors, Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism, to make the presentation.
Okay, distinguished guests, speakers, all the participants, good evening. I am Masayuki Tanemura, the Director of International Policy Planning Office of Ports and Harbors Bureau, Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism. Today, thank you very much for providing me with this opportunity to make a presentation. Today, I'd like to briefly introduce the Japanese overview of Japanese ports, our initiatives, port development in Japan, and then a potential area of collaboration between two countries. Next, please. This is the topics of today's presentation. Next, please. Okay, next, please. This map is the location of Japanese ports. We have three categories of major ports. One is strategic international hub port. You may know the Tokyo or Kobe ports. And next one is international hub ports. We have 18 ports all throughout Japan. And we also have major ports, 102 major ports. In addition to these three categories, we also have local ports, about 800. So in total, we have around 1,000 ports in Japan. Next, please. These two pie charts illustrate the trade share of trade value of international trade. When we look at the left-hand side, the ports accounts for 71%. When we look at the total value, and the right-hand side, ports accounts for 99.6%. Next, please. This is the role sharing between national government and the port management body. In Japan, basically the prefectures or cities or towns works as the port management body. So the Japanese government prepares the basic policy to provide direction or the guidance for port management construction and operation to port management body. Based on this basic policy, port management bodies make a plan and construct ports and manage them. So also the national government can support port management bodies in terms of port construction. We can provide financial and technical assistance to port management bodies. Next, please. Next one is for port development technologies. As a result of the long history of port development, we accumulated a series of port development technologies. The first one is the jacket method, which is prefabricated in the factories. So by utilizing this jacket type facility, we can shorten the construction time or also as well as cost. The next technology is ground improvement technologies. When sometimes we need to develop massive infrastructure on the soft seabed. By utilizing this technology, we can improve the seabed or sea ground. The next one is closed type grab dredging. So by utilizing this grab, we can minimize the generation of turbidity and then less impact for environmental environment. Next, please. In Japan, we sometimes develop ports and then industrial area behind the port in an integrated manner, expecting the synergy effect. So this is the example of the Kashima port in Ibaraki Prefecture. And as a result of the Kashima port was developed mainly in 1960s and 1970s. And as a result of the port development, as you can see on your right-hand side, the population increased threefold, and manufacturing shipment value increased 1,150-fold. So we sometimes recommend this type of development, port development, to foreign developing countries, and inviting high-ranking officials or engineers from foreign government to this site. Next, please. This is the example of port redevelopment or waterfront redevelopment. We sometimes need to relocate the port facility to more deeper seaside to accommodate larger vessels. As a result, we have original port as an obsolete one. So we sometimes redevelop these old areas as urbanized areas. This is the example of the Yokohama port redevelopment. We developed the old shipyard as a modernized area, including office building, apartment, or shopping malls. This area is called as Minato Mirai 21 district. And this area now attracts 1,800 global companies and 110,000 workers. Next, please. This is our recent initiatives called Carbon Neutral Port. This CNP is composed of two parts. The first one is decarbonization of in-terminal operation, introducing the low carbon cargo handling machineries of vehicles into terminal operation. The next part is decarbonization of industries located in port areas by preparing bunkering or receiving facilities for eco-friendly fuels such as LNG, hydrogen, ammonia, and by doing this, we can supply these fuels to industries such as LNG plant, chemical or power generation or steelworking. So by doing this, we can realize the decarbonization of industry behind the port. Next, please. So with respect to CNP, we have several technologies as shown in this slide. The first one is hydrogen fuel cell transfer cranes or other vehicles. The next one is the fuel supply facilities for next generation ships. The last one is expansion of blue carbon ecosystem. Blue carbon is recognized as the CO2 captured in the marine ecosystem. So we are promoting the planting of sea grasses or seaweeds in and around the ports. By doing this, we have been promoting we are also trying to contribute to carbon neutrality. Okay, next one, please. Okay, next one. As you know, the population of Japan has already declined. The Japanese companies are trying to find overseas market. This map shows the location of port development project, which involves in Japanese companies. At first, Japanese companies focused on the Southeast Asian countries, but gradually they expanded their field to South Asia, or African and Pacific region. Next, please. These are examples of the port development project in overseas. The left-hand side is Matabari Port Development Project to construct a deep sea port in Matabari area of Cox's Bazar province of Bangladesh. The right-hand side is the Nakala Port Development Project, which rehabilitates and improves the existing port facilities in Nakala Port in Mozambique. Next, please. JICA and the Ministry of Transport cooperatively offer knowledge co-creation program or training program to developing countries. Every year we invite engineers or high-ranking officials from developing countries and offer a program composed of lectures and site visits. We also trying to manage the network between the graduate trainees from these programs as both alumni. Next, please. I'd like to talk about the future collaboration between two countries. As you know, we already have been collaborating on the Quad framework. As you can see at the bottom, there are several working groups on the Quad framework. Under the climate working group, there are 3 pillars. One is climate ambition, the second one is clean energy, and third pillar is adaptation and resilience. Particularly in the under pillar 1 and pillar 3, we two countries are proactively discussing how to decarbonize the maritime or port sector or enhance resiliency of port infrastructure considering the impact of climate change. Next, please. Indian government arranged the Quad session as a side event of COP28 held in Dubai in 2023. My colleague, the Deputy Director General of Ports and Harbors Bureau, participated in this project and shared our experience. Next, please. Other than Quad, we have several other collaborations between with other framework or the other countries. The first one is Japan-US collaboration. Based on the agreement between two leaders of two countries, the Ministry and the State of California signed a letter of intent to collaborate for green shipping corridor. The next one is G7 Transport Ministerial Meeting, and the G7 leaders agreed to establish at least 14 green shipping corridors involved in which the G7 countries are involved. The last one is Japan-Singapore cooperation. Our ministry and the Ministry of Transport of Singapore signed a memorandum of understanding in 2023. And based on that agreement, we have been discussing how to enhance our initiatives in terms of carbon neutral port, or also we have been discussing about digitalization. Next, please. This is the picture of the signing ceremony of memorandum of understanding between Japan and Singapore. Next one, please. These are the pictures of the symposium held in Los Angeles based on the letter of intent between the ministry and California. Next, please. So thank you so much. Thank you very much. As I said, we two countries have been already collaborating on the Quad initiative, but we are happy to explore more or deeper collaboration between two countries, particularly in carbon neutral or decarbonization, port decarbonization field. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We are now at the end of our seminar for today. We will now have a video screening on Sagarmala, port-led prosperity. Please enjoy the video.
A vision finding its way into a glorious reality. An expansion scripting a new chapter in history. Infrastructure development is one of the key focus areas of Government of India.
Government of India's commitment to port-led development can be seen through the Sagarmala scheme.
Under the dynamic leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways has undertaken a number of reforms and initiatives in the last 8 years. The Sagarmala program is a big step towards propelling India as a leading maritime nation. A journey has led most phenomenal upgradation of the Indian maritime sector towards reducing logistics cost with minimal infrastructure investment. Sagarmala project in the last 8 years has ensured noteworthy development of India's 7,500 kilometer long coastline through port-led development. More than 800 projects across various categories of port-led development taken up for implementation under the program. 228 projects completed and more than 250 projects under implementation, promoting PPP investment and moving towards landlord model for development. More than 127 projects with estimated investment of rupees 2.64 lakh crore planned for implementation in PPP mode. Around 70 projects planned for implementation at major ports authorities. Taking steps towards developing world-class port infrastructure. More than 237 projects at a cost of rupees 2.49 lakh crore have been undertaken for implementation at Indian ports, adding more than 200 MTPA cargo handling capacity. Ministry through Sagarmala has financially sanctioned projects related to development of non-major ports to enhance their capacity and efficiency. Construction of transport infrastructure has eased transportation to and from the coastal areas to the rest of the country, leading to smooth integration of the maritime and shipping sector to mainstream business operations. Connectivity infrastructure has been strengthened with implementation of rail, road, pipeline and multimodal logistics park projects by various central and state agencies. Sagarmala Development Company Limited (SDCL) invested equity of more than rupees 500 crores in 4 SPV for executing crucial port connectivity projects. With the implementation of PM Gati Shakti, integrated planning and seamless connectivity will be established across different modes of transport for providing efficient movement of people, goods and services. Under PM Gati Shakti, 101 infrastructure development projects have been identified worth rupees 62,421 crores for implementation by March 2025. Of these, 27 projects worth rupees 8,956 crores have been completed and 32 projects worth rupees 37,829 crores are under implementation. Ministry has also identified 5 high-impact projects, HIP, which demonstrate the concept and spirit of PM Gati Shakti. Further, under PM Gati Shakti, 107 infrastructure, rail and road gap projects have been identified for improving the first and last mile connectivity with the ports. Ministry has taken lead in promoting waterway transportation for common men by starting RoPax services at 2 locations. Mumbai Ferry Wharf, Mandwa in Maharashtra, Ghoga, Hazira in Gujarat. Giving specific emphasis to urban water transport in Mumbai, Ministry has sanctioned more than 20 projects in the Mumbai region. It will create the alternate mode of transportation to avoid road congestion. Multiple RoPax facilities across the coastline are being set up to decongest roads, reduce pollution and reduce logistics cost. Over 14% of India's population resides in the coastal areas, and fishing is major economic activity for coastal community. For upliftment of coastal community, 21 fishing harbour projects have been taken up for modernization and expansion. 9 fishing harbour projects have been completed so far, with 4 in Tamil Nadu, 2 harbours in Kerala, 2 in Karnataka and 1 in Maharashtra. Modernization and upgradation of fishing harbours adjacent to major ports taken up in convergence between Sagarmala and Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana of Ministries of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. As an alternate solution to India's overcrowded fishing harbours, concept of floating jetties for marine operations have been taken up by the ministry. such floating jetties to further serve different needs of communities living in coastal regions by providing landing platform for tourism, water aerodromes, police outlook posts, etc. 50 locations for installing floating jetties are being planned for implementation in short term, and around 200 locations have been identified for mid and long-term implementation. To promote world-class maritime research, education and training in the country, Sagarmala, in collaboration with the premier education institutions and major ports, have established maritime research and training centers, giving specific emphasis on skilling and thereby providing better livelihood opportunities for coastal communities. More than 3,000 candidates have been trained under the Sagarmala DDU GKY Convergence Program. In addition, more than 35,000 workers have been trained at Safety Institute located in Alang in Gujarat. The first of its kind Maritime Heritage Complex is being planned for setting up at Lothal in Gujarat, showcasing rich maritime heritage dated back to 5,000 years. Under the aegis of the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways, Sagarmala program has been on the path of growth with optimum utilization of resources. Ministry is committed to increase maritime trade and provide boost to economy with our commitments towards sustainability.
Thank you for the video. With this, we would like to conclude today's event. We would like to thank all the respected speakers for their valuable time and knowledge sharing with our audience. We also thank all the participants for joining us on this event for today. It was indeed pleasure to have you all here. From now on, there is a networking session with refreshments at the foyer outside this venue. We hope you will join us. Thank you once again. Have a good evening.